So on this job, we're going to show you how to uncouple and recouple a spoon style coupling. So what we're going to have to do is take the suspension up to allow clearance for our landing leg. So our landing leg is supplied actually on the vehicle here. We take it off, and as you can see, we're not quite high enough yet. So we're going to take the suspension up. So we're going to get our landing leg and fit it onto the pegs, like so. So usually the vehicle will be fitted with these two safety bolts. They run through our pins here to stop us able to move them. So the pins aren't fitted here, so all we want to do is pull our pin outwards, stow it like that. We repeat the opposite side, and that will allow us to lift our trigger up now, out the way. So this is relatively simple. We know how to uncouple electrical Susies as this. We uncouple our red airline, pushing the collar forward, and we take our hydraulics off doing the same. Now, sometimes they can lock on because there's pressure in the pipe. All we do is go around to the lever block, move a couple of levers, and that will relieve the pressure in the system, and we can push the collar and drop our coupling off. Same with the rest. And that is all our lines out. Now, if you were to operate the unit PTO, it's important you put a link pipe in here, so our hydraulic system can circulate. If you don't, you'll turn the PTO on, the decks will pressurise and will pressurise here at the back coupling. We don't want that. You have to put a link pipe in if you're going to run the unit separately. So next stage, we want to drop the unit suspension down at the rear so we sit on our landing leg. We lower it down all the way. So we want to drop our rear unit down so the trailer sits on the landing leg, and when it does, we want to continue dropping further so it exposes the ball hitch, like so. Now, of course, unhitching the trailer is a two-man job. We want to get the driver to pull forward while we watch the rear. Okay. Now, that is our hitch separated. So it's really important that this gets greased in the right intervals and with the correct grease. You'll get no prizes for guessing why it's called a spoon coupling. Underneath here is a big cup. Now, there is a seal, which will be called a spoon O-ring, underneath here. And we need to, when we've uncoupled it, we run our finger around and check that it's not damaged. Now, when coming to grease these, if they've been running for a significant amount of time, what you want to do is get your grease nipple, get your grease gun on your nipple here, give it a couple of pumps, and inside you should be able to take any excess grease from the inside hole. Now, what happens is, over time, as this has been turning, it compacts a thick ball into the end of the grease channel. So we want a couple of pumps in, it pops our ball out, we can get it, wipe it off, and that exposes the hole so we can get the grease through properly. Now, I would give it a few there and just smear around inside that ball. So on the male end of our coupling, we've got the hitch ball. We want to give that a feel around there, check it's not damaged, any flat spots. This is brand new, so of course it's going to be fine. And then we want to just check our pin. Now, we want to pull our pin out, get our maintenance spray, and just work it, because we want to prevent these from jamming. As you can imagine, if these seize up, uncoupling it is going to be a nightmare. And depending where you're doing it, it could be in a yard, it could be roadside. You want this to come free pretty quickly. So we lift up, we get it all in there. So I'm happy with that. Now it's ready to be recoupled. So of course we want to be stood well out the way, guide the driver back. We want to get him close, hold up! Then we lift the rear axle. So we get it close. We ask the driver to come back that little bit further. Hold it there. Okay. Now, see, that's just dropped in gently. That's not all the way. Once she's in, we want to take it all the way up. Now, we've done that gently. We don't want to just take the weight and force it in and let it jump because it damages the seal on the inside. Just need to be nice and gentle with it. So now we've got the full weight of the trailer on top. What we want to do is pump the grease. Now, using the grease nipple, because it's clear, we can now deposit the grease in properly, which will seep itself all around the top of that cap and give it that nice protection that it needs. Now, it's important to note the grease we are using for this is the manufacturer specified grease. It's different to the normal lithium grease you'd use for the rest of it. So on we go, and we give it a few pumps. See, now it's just starting to come out the top there. That's enough. We take the access off. We want to bring that trigger down, and they should jump in, and we have a little bit of clearance here. So when it comes to these hitch triggers, there is a tolerance to this gap here. Now, the manufacturer specification is 0.5 plus 0.3, which is 0.8. So we want to put a 0.8 shim in the gap here, and it should just have a little bit of grab. That is just right. We don't want to get any more than that, and we don't want it any less. So that is set perfect. So it's good working practice. So when we fit these back on, we get our maintenance spray, get all our collars nice and lubed up, ready for the next time it's got to come undone, because it could be you, it could be someone else, but either way it needs to come undone with no problems. So we put our couplings back on, hydraulic couplings, back in like so. Now it is important to make sure our collars are over, because there's a hell of a lot of pressure in them. If it's not seated correctly, they'll pop off or the decks won't work. So that is very important. Same with the electric couplings, straight in. It's important we note that none of our couplings are hanging too low, none of our Susies are down by the ground, they're all up out of the way. So when we've got all our hitch as we want it, we put our anti-tamper bolts through the locking mechanism and do them up nice and tight. So always give your hitch a second check, make sure you've done everything right. We do not want this coming uncoupled in transit. So we're all good there. Final stage is we stow our leg away, back on the A-frame until we need it again. So we level the suspension, then it is good working practice to engage the PTO and turn all the lights on. We can make sure all the Susies are coupled correctly, lights work, we've got all the side lights, hazard lights, and are all important. Make sure our decks have a hydraulic feed. The couplings can go in incorrectly sometimes. The truck will get to his first drop and the decks won't work, or the side lights won't work, something like that. So check it here, check it now, then it can go.